season to win this season than there was last season. Like, do you remember before last season that survey of GMs, right? I think it was right before the season started. It was late October or November. Who is most likely to win? GMs, right? So they survey 30 GMs, all the GMs in the league, and they ask who is most likely to win the championship. These people, their living is dependent on knowing this kind of stuff, of evaluating talent. Number one was the Clippers. Number two was the Bucks. Lakers finished a distant third. They turned out to be wrong. But the perception was going in, the Lakers may not win it this season. And why not? Like, this is the third time LeBron has formed a super team in a location. The first time is he went to Miami. Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. And then Miller and all these guys, yeah, we want to play there too. They lost the championship year one. They got there, but they lost. Same thing happened in Cleveland. Oh, they got Kyrie and the number one pick. They can flip Wiggins into Kevin Love. I'll go to Cleveland. There's another super team. Year one, he lost. True, everyone got hurt, but he didn't win the championship year one. LeBron usually figures that out year two because you got to get the details just right. It's hard just to throw guys together and have them win a championship. So I would say the expectation among most who knew was not that the Lakers would win, yet they did. But how about this season, guys? What's the expectation now? A lot of people would say the number one and number two players in the world are both on the Lakers. They just won the championship, and I think everyone agrees they improved at least on paper in the offseason. Montrezl Harrell and Schroeder and Marc Gasol. So, yeah, there's more pressure now, especially, Stephen A., as you know. You spent enough time in L.A. and have covered the league long enough and have been alive long enough to know. Lakers fans, they get greedy. You know, the reason they want to win a championship is because you can't repeat or three-peat without winning the first one. Now they expect it. So do the odds makers, and I think there's more pressure than ever right now.
Well, for me personally, when I think about three-peat, that's the only time that I'm interested in applying any kind of pressure to LeBron James at this stage and point in his career. He's never done that in his career. He won back-to-backs in Miami. He won one in Cleveland. He won one with the Los Angeles Lakers. But he's never three-peated like Jordan. He's never three-peated like Kobe. And so because of that, I would like to see that. I don't think that will happen. But then again, you never know with the arsenal that they've put forth. The bottom line is I don't think there's as much pressure on the Los Angeles Lakers to quote-unquote repeat outside of that. I think there's pressure on LeBron James to win another chip before he departs from L.A. since he'll have Anthony Davis. And by the way, speaking of Anthony Davis, congratulations to Clutch Sports and Anthony Davis. I don't know why the hell they're in the news for him not signing. It's a 2-year deal, it's a 3-year deal, or it's a 4-year deal. Either way you slice it, you're getting the max. What the hell is all the drama about? Sign the damn contract.
Just tell them what you want.
Are you really leaving Southern? Are you really leaving Southern California to go to the Windy City of Chicago or to the New York Knicks under Dolan, Max Kellerman? I mean, is there really some suspense as to where Anthony Davis is going to go? But they're in the news. I mean, so hey, more power to Rich Paul and Clutch Sports. Major props to them. He's been doing a good job. Here's the bottom line. At the end of the day, when you look at all the moves that the Lakers made, certainly they're the favorites, they're the prohibitive favorites. But Max, I was of the mindset, if you remember, I said the Lakers had to win last year. I'm not trying to say there's no pressure, because of course there's pressure. I'm saying there was more last year than now. The reason why is because I firmly believed if they had lost last year and somebody else, say the Clippers, had knocked them off, all right, or God forbid Denver, okay, then what would have happened was it would have been that much harder for them to ultimately overcome, get over the hump, because there would have been even more pressure to bear on LeBron and Anthony Davis. They would not have won together. Everybody would have been like, what's up, what you gonna do? Meanwhile, those other teams knew how to win. But the fact that that has not happened and the Lakers ended up handling their business in relatively dominant fashion, I might add, the bottom line is because they handled their business the way that they did and they won the chip and they already know how to win together and they've gotten that off. Now they could just go and play basketball, may the best team win. They should be it. Again, there's pressure because they're the prohibitive favorite. But it's nothing compared to what it was last year, because if they had not won last year, it would have been significantly more pressure this season and beyond.
For the defending champs, the Lakers agreed to a trade for Dennis Schroeder before free agency began, then picked up Sixth Man of the Year Montrezl Harrell and Marc Gasol over the weekend. They also re-signed KCP and Markieff Morris. As for the Clippers, they picked up Serge Ibaka and Luke Kennard, and they re-signed Marcus Morris as well. So, Perk, who has the better roster on paper between these two LA teams? Of course, they don't play on paper, but who would you say?
It's the Lakers, Rachel. Rob Pelinka went out there in free agency, and he did his thing. He went out there and got free agents like the Lakers lost and didn't win the championship. When you look at him getting Dennis Schroeder, Montrezl Harrell, who we stole from the Clippers, who was the sixth man of the year, and then you go out there and get Wes Matthews for 3.6, one of the best two-way players in the game today. Not the best, but one of the best. And then you go and land Marc Gasol, a veteran big. That was crucial.
Yeah, the answer has to be both these teams are awesome. They're my favorites to go 1 and 2 in the West. But look, the Lakers just won a championship and they got better. So the answer has to be Lakers. Lakers. Dennis Schroeder has an ingredient they just didn't have last year. A water bug point guard who can create his own shot. I think he'll do a great job running pick and roll with LeBron and AD. And Marc Gasol is a perfect fit with their starting five if they decide to start him. Same level of interior defense as Dwight and JaVale, maybe even a little better, except he can shoot threes and space the floor for Anthony Davis. So all of a sudden when Anthony Davis is posting up, the lane is clear. Anthony Davis is pick and roll, diving to the rim. The lane is clear. And oh, by the way, if you decide to put your center on Anthony Davis and try to hide your power forward on Marc Gasol, he can take that guy down to the weight room. You throw in Montrezl Harrell, maybe keep him in a six-man, kind of roll off the bench. I think the Lakers had an amazing offseason. Clippers are doing great, but when you win the championship, you get the benefit of the doubt.
It really does seem like a long time ago, guys, right? That the narrative out there was, gee, I don't know if players want to play with LeBron. Kyrie left. Kevin Durant didn't want to come. Kawhi Leonard didn't want to come to Lakers and play with him. Guess what? Guys seem to be wanting to play on that Lakers team. And such an interesting thing happened with the Lakers last year, and I wanted to ask you guys about it because last summer, I said once they built that roster, gee, I'm worried about their perimeter defense. I was very concerned about where that was going to come from. And if you look at the numbers of where this Lakers roster, their core players were the previous season, look at their defensive numbers from last season, you can see where that concern was. But then look at this past season. Every single guy got better. I mean, much better. And I would say this is in some ways the Frank Vogel effect. This is in some ways LeBron getting serious on defense the way he hadn't in the previous few years. But it has sort of made me wonder, how do we account for this thing when looking at rosters to say, some of these guys might be so much better consistently 1 through 8 there than they were the previous season. Zach, when you see those numbers, what do you do when you evaluate rosters?
Well, a lot of those numbers, those are team defense or individual defensive ratings. Those are really heavily dependent on your team context. So when you add in Anthony Davis and you add in engaged LeBron James and you retool the team around them, everybody's defensive numbers are going to get better. So I don't put a huge amount of stock into those numbers. I just think the Lakers got better talent, including a defensive player of the year level player in Anthony Davis, a coach who's going to stress defense from day one. And they came out with the mindset of, we're building our team defense and out. And when you do all those things together, yeah, everybody's numbers are going to improve. I don't think, and everyone bought in. Guys who maybe hadn't bought in as much in the past bought in. So that's what happens. And I do think they can carry that over into this season. And as you pointed out, Rachel, their perimeter depth, just as good now as it was when they won in the bubble, maybe even better.
And Zach, you hit a great point by bringing up Frank Vogel. When you look at Coach Vogel, especially when he was with the Pacers, they were always at the top defensively. So Frank Vogel brings that defensive mindset. And once he got LeBron James and Anthony Davis to buy in, then it's a ripple effect. Now you see Caldwell Pope, he's buying in on the defensive end. And then you seen Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee last year, the way that they had the defensive impact. But now you add Dennis Schroeder, who's a guy that could pick up 94 feet, who's feisty on the defensive end, who gets you extra possession, along with a guy like Montrezl Harrell. Look, we praise Montrezl Harrell about his offensive package and his 19 points a game, but he's great at taking charges. He's an underrated shot blocker. And then we all know locked in Marc Gasol, what he brings to the table, along with Wesley Matthews locking in on the wing position at $3.6 million. Hey, it looks like pure gold to me for the Los Angeles Lakers.
And on the Clippers side, Serge Ibaka, I think, makes up for a lot of losses there. But, Zach, do you think they're done? Because a true floor general, it feels like they still need to fill out on that roster?
Well, there just aren't a lot of those players left unless they want to re-sign Reggie Jackson. It's getting to be slim pickings. But to answer your question, no, I don't think they're done. And I don't necessarily think there's a move that happens now or maybe even before the season. But I don't think the Clippers, as they stand right now, first of all, they have to add a couple of players. Second of all, I just don't think this is going to be the team that is playing for the title or playing in the playoffs after the trade deadline. I think they'll tweak it a little bit. But Ibaka was a hugely important signing for them.
I agree. Look, the Clippers dropped the ball. I thought they would be more aggressive this offseason. I thought that they would try to go out there and really pursue Rajon Rondo because that's what they're missing. They're missing that floor general. They're missing that veteran leader to be on the ball club, to be that guy who controls the locker room outside of basketball. But they didn't go out there and they didn't be aggressive. To me right now, the Clippers are losing, especially the LA battle, but they're losing in the free agency battle tremendously. Serge Ibaka was a good pickup, but they needed to add more pieces, and they're not getting it done right now.
Well, they got time before the trade deadline, still months away. We'll see how they tweak and come up with a roster that's going to take them into the playoffs. I do want to move on to Gordon Hayward because he and the Hornets agreed to a 4-year, $120 million deal over the weekend, guys. A lot of folks question Hayward opting out of his $34 million option with the Celtics for next season, but clearly it was for a reason. It worked out for him. Zach, what's your assessment of Charlotte's decision to gamble on Hayward here?
All right, let me defend the Charlotte Hornets a little bit. Do I think this is a good contract? Not really. Do I think it'll be like a trade asset in a couple of years? No. But it's not like the Celtics and the Pacers in a sign-and trade were offering $80 million or $90 million. It was something over $100 million. So it's not like the difference was that big. And look, if you want free agents to come to Charlotte, this is what you have to do. Just like if you want free agents to come to any kind of small market, you have to overpay them. And all you want to say is, well, they should just keep tanking and tanking and tanking.
Well, Zach, I have to disagree with you. Look, I'm all in for players getting their bread and getting their lettuce, but for the Hornets, this was a bad deal. And look, we're coming up on Thanksgiving, and Michael Jordan is already thinking about Christmas because if he's going to be this giving, I might have to retire from